All right, in this video, we are going to collect our color palette. You'll notice we are back at colorblender.com. Excellent resource for selecting your colors. And Rob is going to use Color Blender to grab a series of color palettes that we can use on our site. So go ahead and take it away, Rob.
Okay, we're going to get a couple color palettes using Color Blender. And the great thing about Color Blender is that it keeps your colors harmonious.
Right.
They do not clash with each other. You can see here, this is the color that I'm operating with, and using the auto match, it will automatically match colors for you.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's a very cool.
So no matter what you do, all the colors are going to complement each other. Right. They're going to look great together.
Right.
It's just awesome.
And it's good to have.
And it's free.
And it's free. That's right. And so it's good to have at least 3 or 4 colors when you're making a website that you can use to play off of each other, just to keep some interest in the page.
Right.
So that everything doesn't look exactly the same.
Now, there are 2 modes to select your colors using Color Blender. There's RGB and HSV, and you'll find both of these color modes available inside of Photoshop. And if you don't know, RGB stands for red, green, and blue. And essentially all you're doing is using the sliders, red, green, and blue, to mix their respective colors to come up with your final color. So you'll take a little bit of red, a little bit of green, a little bit of blue. You'll mix those together until you end up with a final result. And that's kind of what Rob is doing now. The other method you can use to create colors is HSV, which stands for hue, saturation, and value, where value, the V, is going to be how light or dark your color is. Saturation is going to control how much of that color is being used. Is it very vivid? Is it very washed out? And then finally, hue is going to kind of control your position along the rainbow. Which color in particular are you sampling from as you adjust with your saturation and value? Now, neither mode is any better than the other. You can get the exact same colors from either option. It's just the one that you prefer using, the one you feel most comfortable adjusting.
That's right. And in the end, what we're really looking for are these HTML values. These are the values that we'll be using in the website. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be choosing some color palettes and then copying these into Photoshop, where we'll be sampling it as we go along and build the pages.
Okay.
And so first I want to start looking for something that's going to reflect the kind of website that we're building. And so I'm thinking at this point maybe a nice natural color. If we're dealing with logs, logs are brown. Forests are green. Right, and the sky is blue.
Yeah, there's some natural colors.
So you got 3 colors right there to kind of play off of. I'm going to just slide this around until I find something that I'm liking.
Okay.
And so I'm going to start with looking for a nice green. And you'll notice here you can actually type in values if you want it to be
precise number
just ever so slightly different than what you have on the screen.
Nice.
And you're having trouble getting the slider to move there exactly. So I'm going to start with this color palette first. It has some nice greens.
Very, very nice.
Nice ochre. It has some good blues. These are really kind of muted, but they're kind of corporate.
Very professional looking.
Yeah, very professional. And so I'm going to start with hitting the print screen button.
Okay, so you're going to actually capture the screen very much like we showed you a few videos back when we were grabbing website elements.
Right, and then I'm going to switch over to Photoshop and File, New. It will come in the right size because it's using the clipboard data. And then I will simply edit and paste. So we have our first palette here.
Excellent.
And I'm going to switch back, and I'm going to get a couple more palettes just to have something else to choose from if I don't like this later on.
You can give yourself some options.
Right. And so I'm going to play around with trying a different kind of green, and maybe try to get some different complementary colors.
Okay.
And so in this case, we're going to use, I think this color palette will work too. Here instead of the blues, we have some nice browns, but we still have some greens. And this is just slightly different than the other one, but it's different enough that we're going to use it. So I'm going to once again hit the print screen button.
All right.
Switch back over to Photoshop. And this time I just have to paste, edit, paste.
Oh, wait, where'd our last palette go?
You'll see here it made a new layer. It didn't obliterate the other one. The other one's right there underneath it.
You just switch between your layers and you're all good.
Yeah, you can just toggle back and forth, and they're both there.
Excellent.
So I'm going to switch back to Color Blender, and we get one more because it's always good to have more.
Sure.
And this time I think I'm going to try to start with a nice blue.
All right.
And work from there. So I'm going to slide this around until I find something that I like. And this is pretty close. I'm actually going to type in this value.
Okay.
And this value too. All right.
Nice.
Here we have one more color palette. Instead of greens, we have blues, and we have a couple of brown colors.
So have like brown logs and a blue sky.
Exactly.
Very nice.
So I'm once again print screen. Switch to Photoshop, edit, and paste. So now we have 3 different color palettes. But what I'd really like to do is get rid of this excess screenage.
Sure.
Just
see what's important.
Right. Just have my palettes and nothing else. So I'm going to use the Marquee selection tool, drag around it, just the color palettes, and then I'm going to use a little trick here and select the inverse.
So that grabs everything but what you just Marquee selected.
Exactly.
Cool.
And then I'm going to hit the delete key on the keyboard.
Something interesting is going to happen here. It almost looks like nothing actually got deleted. Right. That's because we've just cleared away down to the next layer where we see another copy of that screen. Why don't you go ahead and hide that topmost layer?
Sure.
And then let's select layer number 2, and we'll hit delete again.
Right.
And the same thing happens. If you were watching really close, you'll notice that the sliders on the screen adjusted a little bit.
And if you look in the thumbnails, you can see that there's transparency back here.
Go ahead and hide layer 2. All right, and we'll delete this.
One more time.
Yep. And then we clear all the way to the background color.
Right. So what we have are 3 palettes sitting right on top of each other. If we click somewhere in the middle of it, we'll deselect. We'll drop our selection.
Alternately, you can hit Control D.
Right. And I'm going to use the Move tool to separate our palettes out.
So there's layer 1.
And
here's layer 2 and layer 3, and they all look so nice and pretty lined up on your page.
And so here we have it. We have 3 different color palettes, and if you'll save that to your computer, we can refer to this as we go along.
Excellent. So we have several colors to choose from now, and that is going to wrap it up for this video. Now, when you're doing this on your own, be sure that you use colors that, kind of go along with what it is you're talking about. Right. Remember that what we're doing is sort of a theoretical discussion here based on a fictitious company. So, I mean, if you're doing something, I don't know, maybe you're not doing something outdoorsy. Maybe what you're doing is like interior design. Maybe you're going to choose a different array of colors. So just keep that kind of thing in mind. Experiment, play with Color Blender, get comfortable with it, and of course practice bringing your palettes over into Photoshop and saving them out. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. Thanks a lot.